Goedenavond allemaal, de nieuwste aflevering van St. Mac on Air. Vandaag gaan we niet naar Engeland, niet naar Schotland, zelfs niet naar Nederland. We gaan de andere kant uit, we gaan naar Duitsland. En eigenlijk al bijna de Oostenrijkse grens zag ik juist voor de show. Dus ik kijk er wel naar uit om de mannen te begroeten. Het zijn er meerdere trouwens. En we beginnen met de belangrijkste natuurlijk. Het is Hans. Goedenavond Hans.
Hi Gunther.
Wie geht's?
Good.
Okay, that's all of the German I will speak. So let's start with that. Hans, the first guests are saying hello, Hans and Nick. Johan will be joining us as well later on. He's looking for some glasses. I can see him in the back, so it's a funny thing. Hans, Slyrs Distillery. It's when I looked for Slyrs Distillery, I actually found the starting date. It was 1928.
We come from a fruit distillery. In former times, the family ran a fruit distillery at the Schliersee, at the Lake Schliersee. And in 1999, the first time we made whiskey. So I think 70 years there was only fruit distillates on a small way. It was a farm. So they did fruit distillates like Williams, pears, apples, and such things. And Florian Stetter, the owner, did in 1999 the first whiskey.
Okay, but it's in the same brewery. The brewery and the distillery are the one.
Had been, because of the success of the whiskey, we built up a new distillery in which we only make whiskey. This distillery was opened in 2007.
Okay, fairly new then.
Yeah, and in this distillery we only run whiskey. The fruit distillery is also running in another place.
Okay, and it's nearby or it's?
Yeah, it's nearby. I think 5 kilometers.
Okay, so that's a good thing. Hans, you were there with the start, and just before the show, you were mentioning your age. How old were you at the beginning?
16 years. 16 years.
So, what is the legal drinking age in Germany?
18.
Yeah. So, and Johan mentioned it already. How long did you wait
drinking
for
age and tasting age? That's a difference, you know.
You aged with the whiskey yourself. So let's have him with us. So here is Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Gunther.
And let's Johan join us as well. Hi, Johan.
Hello.
Our first episode with 4 guests. 3 guests and myself included, so 4. Guys, I really hope you're looking forward to it.
Yes, we are.
It's a bit rowdy. I know Johan was looking for some glasses and some Slyrs whiskey, so he will be tasting at least one Slyrs bottling, and he will talk about it later on. So he has a homework to do. So you started in 1999, and you were 16-year-old. Hans, obviously I'm talking to Hans. Hans, how did you get involved with the distillery and whiskey in general?
So the idea behind was we did fruit brandies on another way. We didn't do or produce our fruit brandies on a traditional way. Florian always was very unique in doing some things. And then he said, oh, why we don't make whiskey? He was a learned brewer. They use barley to produce their product. And he said, in Bavaria, there is plenty of barley. So why we only use fruits from the area? Why we can't use barley to make some good product? And the way was not too far to get from barley some whiskey. So
but you said you're 16-year-old. I'm curious. I know. Sorry, you're a 16-year-old. So I have to ask: is your father the distiller, or how does it work? Because 16 is not an age you would guess somebody's joining a distillery to have a job.
No. I'm not from the family or something like that. I did a normal apprenticeship with
Okay.
3 years. So, and in Germany, normally you start between 16 and 18 in that age. So there was one way to become a brewer. So that was one of the first job ideas I had.
Yeah.
And the next thing was distiller. So I choose the distilling way.
So you ended up as master distiller instead of brewer.
Yeah.
Nick, you mentioned before the show, you're not that long with Slyrs. I think for almost a year now, if I'm right.
Yeah, for a good year. I've been.
For a good year.
Yeah.
You were hired as a brand ambassador.
Kind of looking after the international sales for Slyrs. Yeah.
Okay, but if Slyrs is coming to visit Belgium, is it you or is it Hans or the both of you will be joining us in Belgium at one point in the future?
It's
you
Nick.
Say who you prefer, whichever face you like more. We're very flexible.
No, it's Nick.
Yeah, just kidding. But it would be mostly me looking after the international side. But Hans, he's always interested in getting to know the markets as well. Being there and for important meetings, Hans would join as well.
Okay. So, and the reason why Johan is joining us, Johan is responsible for you being in Belgium at this point, because not so long ago we could only board Slyrs in the Netherlands or Germany, of course, but the Netherlands is a bit closer for most of us. So it's thanks to Johan, you're home in Belgium from now on. Johan, you're looking forward to have a good word with, have a good work. I mean, with Slyrs.
Of course, I will. And it's also due to the introduction in the Netherlands that I discovered the Slyrs whiskey, and I immediately thought that's something I like to have in Belgium, because I think more and more countries are distilling single malts, and I think it's not only Scotland who can produce correct single malt whiskey. So it was very nice to have. The first I tasted was the classic, and I had immediately, yes, this is a single malt experience. When I saw what they had after it, all the finishes and all the other things. So really, nice to discover this. So.
Yeah. Just one question for all of you. Who wants to answer can answer it. The range. How big is it at this point?
We now have around about 14, 15 whiskeys, roundabout, because we have some whiskeys on the market which are only seasonal. They are sold out in up to 2 or 3 months, and we have 3 whiskey liquors on the market now.
Okay, and they are included with 14. No, 14 was just whiskeys.
Just whiskey, yeah.
Okay, and are the regular whiskeys, or are they small batches or whatever?
Yeah, normally on the main portfolio is around about 12 whiskeys, 10 to 12 whiskeys. There is the classic one. That's our main whiskey. That's really the base. And then we have the 12-year-old, the 51, the finishings, and the mountain edition. Yeah. And then we have some cask strength and something like that. Yes.
Yeah. Later on, we will be talking about the mountain edition because there's a story behind it. You mentioned the 12-year-old and all. A lot of them have won a few prizes. Nick, can you tell us something about it?
Sure. I mean, for us, it's as a whiskey distillery, especially from a country which people don't really know of as being able to produce great whiskeys. It's really important to build up some sort of reputation. So we have been working for quite some years with different international competitions. And actually, it was also in 2014 when our classic won the award of being the best single malt whiskey 12 years and under at the World Whiskies Awards. That really shook up, like kind of like the whiskey world, because people all of a sudden they notice, oh wow, who's that? It's it's a newcomer. Nobody had expected it at all, and for us it was just a great. How should I say? It was a Bestätigung. It was a confirmation for all the work we had put in. Considering that 1999 it was the first year we made a new make spirit, and then about 15 years later we were kind of able to get the fruits from all the work that's been put in, and so on a continuous basis. We send our whiskeys to international competitions, and the International Wine and Spirit Competition is probably one of the best known that's out there, because we want to have a neutral tasting panel evaluate our whiskeys, and being able to win these awards. Of course, on the one hand, it does help us to sell the whiskey, but especially for something which is unknown, it also kind of gives, in our eyes, the consumers or the customers some sort of assurance, that this is a good quality, and hey, go ahead and try it,
Okay, Hans, when you first won the first award, Golden Age of a Statement, how did you feel? Because you were very closely involved.
Yeah, and I can remember the thing Nick told from the World Whiskey Awards in London in 2014. I sent some bottles there, and it takes time. They have to taste it, and then to the next round and to the next round, and I forgot it completely. And on a Friday evening, I got an email. So now the World Whiskey Awards are out now. The results are blah, 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 blah. Then I saw a bottle of my Slyrs whiskey. Then I thought, okay, they sent me the bottle because I'm from Slyrs.
Yeah.
Then I read the email, and then I saw, we got some gold. Oh, gold for the best European single malt whiskey under 12 years. So, no, it's not true. It can't be. So it was really, I never forgot the day. So it was really very unexpected and exciting. Yeah.
I can imagine that. Hans or Nick, which one doesn't know it? Are there a lot of other distilleries in Germany? Whiskey distilleries, I mean.
Yeah, so from the history, we hadn't been the first distillery who made whiskey. We are not the first one, but I think I can say we are the first who made whiskey very famous.
Yeah,
German whiskey famous.
Without German borders.
Yeah,
you can say that. And if you research it, I think there's about 200 or something whiskey distilleries. So there's more whiskey distilleries in Germany than there are in Scotland, funnily. But for the most part, these distilleries are fruit schnapps distilleries, and maybe they just make 1 barrel of whiskey or 2 barrels or whatever, or sell it in their town, in their village, something like this. And then they are already they can call themselves a
whiskey. They call themselves distillery, but they are not really distillery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there are some distilleries who only make whiskey, who do it on a very, very good way. So we are not the only one, I can say. And for us, at Slyrs, it's good to see there is other German whiskies, because we want to become as German whiskey, a part of the whiskey family, worldwide whiskey family. So it's good to us all.
A lot of you putting together, you work together. It's making Germany as distillery country stronger.
Yeah.
Okay. Johan, I have a task for you, because I know you have some Slyrs whiskies. You get some homework. Which ones do you have with you?
One of my favorites, and that's the classic one.
Okay. Which one do you have as well?
One of my other favorites is a 51.
Nice one.
The port and the Madeira.
Okay. Hans.
Also because I'm a little bit with port.
No, don't say it. Not yet. Wait for it. Hans, which one do you want to have Johan try at the show? You can pick one.
So first, today at the afternoon, Nick and I talked, and I said my favorite is normally the 51, but the 51.
Okay, Nick, same task for you. Which one do you want to try?
I'll join the team. Peer pressure is on. No, but I gotta say that the 51, which I, by the way, have, of course, next to me as well, it would certainly, I think it's the distillery's favorite. So it's only powerful for
Hans already picked that one, so you have to pick another one. He will try 2 whiskies and he will talk about it later on.
Okay. So it was the classic, the 51, port, and Madeira?
I think so.
Madeira. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe Madeira, because
maybe Madeira. Okay.
Not so super.
That was the one I didn't put in the glass yet, but no problem at all.
Hans, which one do you want to try at first? At first thing?
I think the sense it will make sense to try first the Madeira, because the 51 is more stronger.
Okay, Johan, you know what to do. You have to try the Madeira at first, and later on we will be talking about it, and afterwards you will try another one as well. So, and I hope to see you drunk at the end of the show. So. Let's keep on going.
No problem at all.
We have a first question. It's a big question for Manu. Manu is asking, is there a German Whiskey Association? And if not, is there a need for one? 4 years ago, English distilleries sort of dismissed the idea because they didn't want to pin themselves down with too much self-imposed regulations, but they are really considering the idea now because they are growing so fast. Sorry for the long question.
No, it's a good question. Very good question. There is an association, but on freiwillig. Was heißt das, Nick?
It's self-imposed. Like if you want to join, you can join, but you don't have to.
It's not by law or something like that. If you're a whiskey distillery, you have to join the association. It's on free to you to join it. But we want to work on the thing to say, oh, that should be German whiskey. Whiskey should be distilled in Germany and such things, By law, you can also always say, oh, you can buy the whiskey and age the barrels in Germany. Is it then German whiskey or not? So we want to give the German whiskey some structure.
Okay, but they have to be in a cask for 3 years, I presume.
Yeah. It's a European law. Law. Yeah. So the same law like in Scotland. It's a European law.
Okay. He's telling something else as well. Would love to try the 51. Got a sample set with the different finishes, but the 51 really speaks to me. So he's already a fan.
Right.
Very good.
Manu, you're the best. Johan is trying the Madeira, so let's talk about cask finishes. There are a lot of them. I think Hans is the best one to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. The cask finishes I think in Germany, the first 10 years we had only the classic one on the market. And the first 10 years, I think we had been sold out every year. And then we said, oh, it could be the right way, only have one whiskey. So it was only the 3-year-old classic whiskey. And then we started with sherry finishings. It was the first finishing we did, the Petrocriminés, then the Oloroso. And it was not too easy because our idea behind was to find a company which they have the same idea of producing some wine or doing the same way, like they have the same passion. And in sherry casks are very, every distillery wants to buy
Once
some.
you have one, yeah.
It's very difficult to get them. And at the show in Düsseldorf, I think I met Lorenzo Iglesias from the Bodegas Tradición, and we visited each other. And so it started, and we started with the sherry finishing, and then we got on with Sauterne, Madeira, rum. But the idea behind is to have always a good stuff.
Okay. And they all limited, I presume.
Yeah. We did some sherry finishings. Amontillado, I loved it, but I never got some barrels from the quality we did at that time, so we stopped the finishing.
Yeah, okay. There's a question for me, I presume. When will Slyrs be at St. Mac? Soon, Fabian, soon.
Oh.
Go ahead. Gotta go to work.
At least.
Get the logistics going.
Johan, you tried your first whiskey?
It was not my first, but I tried Madeira cask, like you asked me. So
Yes, Johan.
He's joining you.
Just
no, I was when you asked me.
Sorry for that, Fabian. Thank you very much. I'm tasting it right now, so I don't have a clue what it is.
So, when you asked me which is your favorite, I talked about the classic because classic is one real single malt experience, and this is for a whiskey geek or for someone who start with a whiskey. It's always good. And finishes. Last weekend I did my first Slyrs tasting, by the way,
Okay.
in a small group, but it was very pleasant and nice to have because with finishes. Yeah, you get always discussions. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, no, I like more this, I like more that because yeah, they are very well made. And yeah, I'm also involved with Madeira, also with Portugal. That was what I was want to say before. So yeah, something with Port or Madeira always have my special attention because yeah, I was often in the cellars, also tasted the different yeah, qualities of Madeira and port. So for me, it's always a game also to try to smell and taste, yeah, which Madeira or which port cask it could be, and yeah, it's very well done. It's very well made when you taste the Madeira cask, when you smell it. I have immediately the idea I'm nearby a Madeira bodega. You can smell the casks, the things, but when you taste, you need to have the real single malt experience, and yeah, that's what you get with the Slyrs, with a nice aftertaste, with yeah, Madeira. It's warm, it's sweet, the fruitiness, it's something extra. And yeah, then you see when you ask other people what do you prefer, what do you like, yeah, it's very personal because yeah, the other one yeah likes more the fruitiness or more the classic stuff. For some people it's too different because yeah, I guess it's most of the time also another wood you use, and you get another mouth feeling with other tannins, or I don't know what, but for some people this is always yeah, difficult or too difficult because yeah, it's very yeah, pleasant if you like to try something else. But when you start with whiskey, sometimes it's too difficult to place all the different tastes because you have a very wide palette of taste and smells. But I think for a whiskey geek, this is one of the more interesting whiskeys to discover.
Okay, and what is the alcohol percentage?
46.
I think all 46 with finishes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have whiskey on cask strength as well?
I don't have it.
Yeah.
No. I mean, Hans and Nick, sorry.
We do produce cask strengths, but even though those cask strengths mainly come in either per demand or just in very, very limited species. Yeah.
Okay.
It's always a single barrel cask strength. It's always single barrel in our.
Okay. Okay. By the way, I in the meanwhile, Fabian told me what it is. It's Octomore 10.4.
Okay, nice. Good. Also a nice whiskey.
Yeah, it's the first time I tried it, and I have to say, I was just saying to him, it's softer than I imagined. So, and it's about 63%. So, it's a big one. Okay, about the logo. Nick, tell us about it.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what's the name of the animal? And even in Germany, or even in German language, I'm really having trouble to know the name because it looks like a deer, yeah, but it's not a real deer. It's like a what should I say? It's like a
What's the German word?
Mouflon.
Yeah, mouflon.
I never heard about that one.
Never heard that.
Kind of sheep. It's the old. It's a old sheep.
Okay.
It's a wild sheep.
And he lives in the mountain, I presume.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't shown the picture of where the distillery is located, but we are all the way in the south of Germany, really close to the mountains, or we are basically at the mountains, at the Alps. And I guess this used to be the kind of environment where these mouflons used to live. So for us, it was something logical to take something from the area and to put it there. But I think maybe Hans, you can add something. You were there in the very beginning when the
and they thought, let's make it a logo.
No. So the idea behind Florian, the one of the founders of the company, said in former times, why we don't make whiskey in Bavaria. He said, we are very similar to the Scottish people. We have a strange dialect for Germans. We have the traditional clothing is not
strange. Our lederhosen.
Very extraordinary. So I don't know the English word for stur. We are known as a very
I think
stubborn. The Bavarians are really stubborn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stubborn, yeah.
And we have we are Germany, but the Bavarian people don't want to be Germans really, so they want to be Bavarians. So he said it's similar to Scotland, so we have to make whiskey. And the animal is also known for the Sturheit. I don't know the word.
Okay.
To be stubborn.
I was looking at a map early on, and I noticed it's Oberbayern. It seems. And at first I thought it will be near München, Bayern München or Oberbayern. It's pretty nearby, but you live. It's more nearby Austria than München. So and Austria is not, of course, a lot of mountains as well. So is it Are you people who live there? Is it not German, not Austria? It's a mix.
Bavaria.
Yeah, I can say it like that. Is Bavaria a mix of Germany and Austria?
No, it's we are very familiar with the mountains, with the Austrians. So it's or to Switzerland. So the Alpine region, northern Italy is not too far. You can say that the Alpine region. So
yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I traveled a lot to Switzerland and do some hiking as well. Is it the same dialect?
No.
It's different.
In every 20 kilometers, there's another dialect.
Same thing like in Belgium. In Belgium, the Flemish part for that, there are a lot of dialects as well. So even my dialect sounds a bit German. So I can't talk to you in German in dialect. So,
Okay.
Johan, the second one. Have you tried it already?
I'm still here. Yes, I didn't try it, but I go to do it for you. You choose the 51, I guess. So the two I didn't yet put in my glass. For me, the 51 is more like a classic single malt, but very well chosen because the classic is to start with, is for everyone. The 51 is more for the whiskey geeks again, who like classic whiskey but with more power. So you have some fruitiness, some of the malted barley in it, some of the woods, very well balanced and very nice power with a very long taste, aftertaste in mouth and
Finish.
in
Yeah.
mouth, and it's evaluate for many times. It's something you put in your glass and you put in your seat, and you smell on it 100 times, and you sip again, and you discover also I think
It's so involved.
if you keep in your hand or not temperature, but very exciting with me.
Is the bottle already empty, or are you just finishing it? It's not empty yet.
No.
You don't have to be afraid. I have some sample for you.
Okay, guys, did he pass the test?
Yeah, very good. Nice. Thank you for that. Good words to hear.
You can stay. You can stay. Talking
The
about
first time in my life I passed the test.
No, I don't think so. Very good.
The show is not over yet, Johan. Talking about the distillery, it's a new distillery. You mentioned before, but this is the visitor center.
Yeah, that's the visitor center. Yeah.
It's the old one.
No, it's the new one. We built it up in 2015, so it's the new one.
And there's a lot of wood construction. So is that typical for the area?
Yeah, very typical. So we say our whiskey is very typical for the region. We use regional barley, regional water, from the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So our intention was, when we build a distillery, we want to build it like the regional houses with regional constructors, the carpenter, everything is around 10 kilometers around the company. So we want to represent the region and to show it with the building. Was
Okay.
one of our ideas.
Nick sent me a photo of the stills. Of course, I will show them, but they're different. That's the least I can say. They're really different. I never saw stills like this. Is it specially built for Slyrs, or?
Yeah, they're handmade and specially built for Slyrs. The idea behind was we distilled our whiskey till 2006 in the fruit distillery in completely different stills. And then we had the idea to make to build up a new whiskey distillery. And first of all, our idea was to make the normal pot still, like you see in Scotland, to buy one. And after thinking a while, we said, oh, why to build up a complete different style of whiskey? We distilled first on a fruit distillery. So with our coppersmith, we did a brainstorming how to make this with temperature and then we built up this construction.
Okay, so it's Bavarian made and it's a Bavarian ID, so to say.
Yeah, with the coppersmith. He's from he's a Swabian, but good guy.
Okay, then we have the warehouse, of course, very important. How many cars are there?
Now you can see 560 roundabout, but we have different warehouses. Now we store around about 3,000 casks.
All in the same location?
Nearby, because in our region there is not too much space.
Mm-hmm.
So we rented a second warehouse 3 or 4 kilometers away from the production area.
Okay, yeah, but it's not in the other part of Germany or something like that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Nick sent me a lot of photos before the show. I noticed immediately he was very proud and keen to talk about the Mountain Edition. So I will start with Nick about that. Nick, Mountain Edition. I have some photos of it and we'll show them when you start talking about it. What's the story about the Mountain Edition? And I know Hans was very keen. He was laughing when he mentioned it. So I think it's a big story. So let's hear it.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a big story, but it's I think people always talk about innovation, and of course at Slyrs Distillery we're also thinking how we can innovate, how we can do something different. So just last year we presented for the first time our so-called Mountain Edition, and speaking about the warehouses, there is a third warehouse, which is on a mountaintop. So it's at 1,501 meter above sea level. I don't know if it makes it the highest whiskey warehouse, but it's certainly at a quite an altitude. And this is the picture basically where you can see it. So it's a small warehouse. We do only have about 50 to 60 casks in there. And I guess what's really extraordinary about it is, first of all, where it's located. So people, they go skiing on this hill in winter. So when they get to the top of the mountain, with that lift, basically it's right there located. And then also, of course, the quality which is produced up there. It's something really extraordinary. We have temperatures in the summer that are up to 30 degrees. And in the winter, as you could see in the picture, we have a lot of snow. It gets down to minus 30 degrees. So we have these huge varieties of temperature, and it's not temperature controlled, this warehouse. So it just, sucks the whiskey in and outside of the wood. It presses in and out. And just within a relatively short amount of time, you get a really complex, kind of really fatty style of whiskey, which I think is just something extraordinary, and that's why we're happy about it.
Hans, are you happy about it?
Yeah, very happy. So because the winter, if I visit the warehouse, I can go skiing, So
and have a little
skiing. Yeah. He always says work, but
But our experience was the idea was our experience we had in the valley. We had 3 different warehouses, and on the same level of attitude, but in every warehouse there was a different microclimate. Only a little bit, and the whiskey tasted a little bit different to the other one.
Same whiskey, you mean?
The same whiskey, yeah. And then the idea was born to go up and to have extreme temperature, to have another climate, you know. And you can see it in the whiskey. It takes longer to mature, so it's completely different to the level in the valley.
Yeah, the oxygen level is different as well, I presume. So does that make a difference in taste as well?
I think so. So I can't really explain what's the most influence to the whiskey, but I think that's it's a very complex thing.
And what about the angel share? Is it different or more or less the same?
It's nearly the same. It's nearly the same. It's a little bit lower, but nearly the same.
Okay.
Interesting was the first time we brought it up to the hill, it was in autumn, and then the winter came, and in spring we tasted the first time our whiskey, and there was no color inside. At the low temperature, no color from the cask came into the whiskey. Nothing. So
the whiskey is 5-year-old, if I'm right.
Yeah, it's 5-year-old.
Yeah. The aging is all 5 years upstairs, up the hill.
Basically.
Okay, and there's no other aging part in another cask. No,
completely.
So okay, but it's a single malt. It's not a single cask.
It's a single malt whiskey. Yeah.
Okay, Johan, you tried that one already?
No.
No, and you don't have it with you.
Haven't received yet the mountain editions, but we will have. We make a reservation for it. We still wait for some other new things to discover. So we will get this quickly, Gunther. Don't be afraid.
Patrick is joining us as well, and he knows what the mouflon is. A mouflon is apparently a mouflon in Dutch as well. The smallest wild and only still existing European wild sheep, originating from Sardinia and Corsica, also called muffeldier or steenschap. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
Then there's a question from Fabian. At what strain goes the new make in the cask?
In our case, it's not too high because we started with completely new American, with virgin American white oak casks. For the classic one, and it's 55%.
Okay, and it's a very first cask for all the bottlings, or just for the classic?
Mainly for all except the 12-year-old.
Okay.
The 12-year-old is always in a used Slyrs cask.
Okay, Fabian is mentioning next time when I go skiing, I'll take my copper dog. He's planning something. No, okay. Johan, how do you see the going? How do you see the future for Slyrs in Belgium? Because it's new. Not a lot of people know it already. Of course, Nick and Hans hope you saying it will be the biggest seller in Belgium, but for now, because it's not easy to sell a German whiskey, because let's be honest, most people always talk about Scottish whiskey. I'm a big fan of Irish whiskey, and it's a task to sell Irish whiskey
Irish whiskey or Irish whiskey.
Sorry,
Irish whiskey or Irish whiskey.
Irish. It's Irish. Sorry, but Bavarian whiskey is nice as well.
Yes, so he cannot, Gunther. So maybe you'll change your mind after you get the samples from Johan.
I hope so. I hope so. But I'm pretty sure I will be interested. So, but Johan, what's your opinion?
Yes, I of course know how you have to put a new brand in the market. I did it for a Belgian whiskey also. It was also the first pot still distilled Belgian whiskey at that time. And I was afraid I had to do the same thing, that you have to explain why it's not Scottish, why a German whiskey. And the first visits I did was like that. I was, why should I buy a Dutch single malt, a German single malt whiskey? And yeah, the explanation is very simple, because it's good and it's new and it's well made. So why you don't try? We have another not Scottish, the Stowning you tried a few weeks ago. It was less or more the same, and yeah, I'm happy to see that, and it's not to please Hans and Nick or Stowning. They are the best sellers. So I think the Belgian market is also really ready to discover new things, and it's well made. So it will go
Will be a big success.
like it should. So yeah, I'm really convinced that it will be a success story, and it's more easy than the new Scottish we have for the moment. We are just a few weeks, yeah, with the starting up. It's not really normal time yet. It's also not really the whiskey season, but I'm very pleased. I'm very happy to see what it will bring.
We have a
do today. So
funny question. Which whiskey do you advise with Mouflon on the barbecue?
Any Slyrs, because they all carry the logo, the Mouflon logo up here, so it will fit. You know, it's like a certificate, a Mouflon certificate.
Slyrs will always fit.
Okay, Patrick is on the roll tonight. There's always one. You guys, if you have to say for the viewers, you have only one whiskey to choose, which one do you recommend for the people to try, just to make them, to convince them for buying Slyrs? And I know it's a difficult question, but which one do you think for the bigger or the more settler, the whiskey lover, not the beginner, but the real whiskey lovers, which one do you think they prefer?
I would prefer the 51.
The 51. Okay, Nick?
I would say so as well, just because it's it's the older brother, we always say, of the classic. Obviously, it has 51% of alcohol, so it's a bit on the stronger side. But considering it has these 51%, I personally just find it still super smooth, super easy to drink. And I think for someone who's not looking for something which is maybe too much, let's say, on the light side, but not too strong, I think it's just perfect. I don't know if we had mentioned, but I mean, 51 is basically a composition of our classic, mixed with a couple of cask finishes. So it picks up these different aromas. So we have a really nice complexity, and I think you just cannot go wrong with it. I always have a bottle at home of 51, so I can just recommend it, to everyone.
Okay. Is there a peated expression, or will there be a peated expression in the future?
Yeah, we are working on that. We have one which is not sold with the brand name Slyrs. It's measured at sea, at Sylt, at the island. So it's a composition with a partner, but it's made with Slyrs whiskey, and we want to do an extra peated whiskey, peated one.
So, and it will be a limited edition, or you want to make?
No, it should be on the portfolio. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year we launched a Islay edition. So we took our Slyrs Classic, the 12-year-old, and we got some Islay casks and did a maturation in there, a finishing in there. So it was it picked up some of the flavor, some of the peat flavor, but of course it's not like your typical peated whiskey. But again, it was something just to show the innovative side of Slyrs, and for the fans, which we have, they're always looking for new limited editions, which we'll bring out, and so we presented that last year. Yeah.
Okay.
And with the peat, we had some problems because we want to tell always the complete story. If we do something, we want to have barley from the region, we want to have the peat from the region, and that's very difficult in Bavaria, in Germany. And now we found a malting company who can do it to us. And now we will start with.
Okay, so you answered Patrick's question before you asked him, and where do you get the peat? So it's answered.
Yeah, that was a long search, and that was the reason why there is no peated whiskey from Slyrs.
Okay, some distilleries work with farmers and their neighborhood, and they are telling the farmers which grain they want to have. Do you do the same thing, or you just go looking for a farmer who's making that sort of grain?
No, but the main barley is the way, like you said, it's not. We don't know the farmer really, but it always goes further and further to know the soil, the farmer. So it will be the way we discussed last Monday about from farm to fork, and that's the goal to produce whiskey or to produce our style of whiskeys.
Yeah, we're talking about terroir, of course. One of the biggest names which use the name terroir a lot is Mark, of course, from Bruichladdich and nowadays Waterford Distillery. Do you think the same way about terroir? Is it that important, or is it just because you live and work in Bavaria, the Bavarian area, just to involve people around you?
I think two ways are the way to do it. Why to buy the barley in China when it grows in your area? And I think the soil or the terroir, for sure, it's important. For sure,
it makes the taste good.
For sure, yeah.
Okay,
I believe in that. The water. I think the taste is not why, because we have the best water or we do that on the best way. It's the mix of all you do in your company. That's the complexity, the thing why the whiskey tastes like it tastes.
How many people are working at Slyrs at this point?
In the company, we are now around about 50 persons.
Is Nick included?
Nick is included. Nick is included. No. So we run also a coffee and a restaurant, a small one at the visitor center. The visitor center is open 7 days a week. So you can visit our company, the whiskey distillery. We have around about 30 to 40,000 visitors each year, which do the tour. So nearby Munich, we are very touristic region from all over the world. The visitors come, so it's very comfortable to us.
Okay, and when someone does a tour with you, they can see the warehouse as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of distilleries don't show the warehouse by heart.
The picture which you have shown earlier, Gunther, with the barrels, that's part of the visitor center tour. So actually inside of the distillery, you can see it there.
Johan, did you already visit Slyrs?
He wanted to.
No, the COVID decided that was not possible. So we look forward to it. normally I always go first to visit, and then we start talking about working together. But due to the COVID, it's a little bit different to work. So, but I look forward to it. So it will be happen soon.
A lot of people don't know it, even Johan doesn't know it, but I'm his assistant, so I have to join him on his travels to the distilleries.
No problem.
No problem at all.
Okay, is breakfast included?
We will manage it. We will manage it.
For breakfast is the classic one.
Yeah, we have a famous whiskey lover in Belgium. It's Bob Minneke, and I was at his. Nowadays he's living his pension, but when I was visiting him years ago, and he was talking about whiskey, and it was, you have a breakfast whiskey, you have a whiskey for the afternoon, and you have one for the evening and one for the night. So, and I loved it. And he was telling about which whiskey he uses for what time. And I tried it after us. I don't really remember which whiskeys it were, but he was right. It was okay, and I was not that drunk afterwards. So.
In Portugal, they say when I don't drink, it's then Porto, it's not whiskey. But when I don't drink 1 before 11, I drink 11 before 1.
Germany, it's definitely a beer country. How does whiskey take part in all of that? Is it that as big as whiskey? Of presume not, but
Nick, you can tell.
Well, it's put it this way. Germany is definitely one of the biggest import countries when it comes to whiskey. So Germans do drink a lot of whiskey. They love whiskey, but it's only been since, I guess, more or less Slyrs has really become, so famous that we helped also to build up a German producer whiskey scene, to put it this way. And we are far, far, far away from, being able to say, German whiskey, it's as large as beer. So it'll take years or decades before you could even say something like this, or even if it gets there, that's a big question mark. It's probably never will be. Yeah, but we're working on it, and there's a young whiskey scene. There's more and more producers building up distilleries, and that helps. Any distillery that comes up and that not only tries to make whiskey for their village or their region, but that have in mind also to become, maybe like a national player. That will help, to grow the scene. And there's interesting things that are happening. There was actually last year, there was a article in the New York Times about the whiskey trail in Germany, and they highlighted, I don't know, I think it was 10 distilleries in Germany, 5 distilleries to visit in Germany. And but it's still, very, very small, and even Slyrs being, I guess, the one of the largest. If you put us in Scotland, we would be the tiniest, in that country. So we got a long way to go.
You said a young public. You mean by young about 20-year-old and a bit older, or the younger generation from 35 to 72?
When I said there's a young scene coming up, or
oh yeah, you said a young scene. Sorry, it's
maybe I said it.
You said a young scene.
There's a young whiskey scene. I mean, the producers are not 20 years old, probably. Yeah.
But I still have
scene like Hans,
But who's drinking whiskey in Germany? Because in Belgium, I think most of us are 35 and over 35, let's say 40, 50. Is it the same thing in Germany? A bit older generation?
Yeah. After the gin, they drink whiskey. I think it's around about 30, 35.
Yeah.
But we can see the women's are coming to whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was no women drinking whiskey, really. There was no real scene.
Yeah.
And now they're coming to drink whiskey on the fairs, on the shows, to visit our company. So it changes a little bit, but it's an elder.
It's an old, okay. Talking about fairs, you do a lot of fairs. I think you have to as a German distiller. And of course, you do a lot of fairs in Germany. You do in other countries fairs as well?
We just we just started. I mean, our exports business is really just in its infant shoes, and really we have started to go to different countries just a few years back, and really started pushing it only last year. So our goal is, of course, also to be present at whiskey festivals internationally. Whenever they happen again, that's a big question mark. Whenever that's possible, but of course, I mean that's part of the ways of being able to present your whiskey to the audience and to be part of the brand building, being able to talk about the distillery. So yeah, that's planned for definitely.
Okay. A question I always ask my guests: where do you see the distillery or yourself? Let's make it a question for the both of you. No, I think I already asked you on the question. So just for the one, it's two questions. Where do you see the distillery in 10 years, and where do you see yourself in 10 years? Hans, let's start with you.
So let's start with myself. So I have no other choice. I will be at Slyrs. I can't do anything else. Then where will be Slyrs? I hope it will be an international brand in the niche. Not an international brand in
general,
industry or something like that, but in the niche. It should be known as the German whiskey international.
Okay. Nick?
Well, where do I see myself in 10 years? Hans, of course, with Slyrs. Question. No, but I think, I mean, I've only been with the company for 1 year now. Yeah, so it's been a relatively short amount of time. Before I was in the wine business for a really long time, but I think I did find my new passion. So for me, it's really interesting having seen Slyrs and having watched this brand, become from being just maybe like a local or regional brand to becoming a national product where people know it well. And so I really hope that we can, also show in some other parts of the world, this great product, this great craftsmanship, which stands behind this distillery, to be able to show it, and also, leave some sort of mark on the whiskey scene, not only for Slyrs but for German whiskey in general. So I hope that in 10 years. People will not say, "Oh, it's German whiskey. I never drank that before, or never heard, or I don't want to try." But I hope people will be have tried it already and will have a positive attitude towards German whiskey.
Nick, you mentioned you were in the wine industry, so you weren't a whiskey lover, I presume.
Before, well, no, the thing is, I find if you look at spirits, I find whiskey probably the spirit which is closest to wine. You can the way you play around with it. You have geeks, you have people talking about it. You can have a philosophy about it, and the way you play with terroir and how it's really a purely natural product. This is what has amazed me. And I started drinking whiskey when I was in the wine business already. But it's a kind of like a new passion. Yeah, which I had found.
Okay, Johan, where do you see Slyrs in 10 years?
That's difficult to say because there are many. Here we are in Belgium, but I'm convinced and I'm sure that there's always space for whiskey like this one. So why not?
Okay,
so really try to do new things also. So
innovating.
No doubt about it.
Okay, that's a good thing. So I think Johan has passed his test, all of them.
Best way.
Yeah, but
that's because I didn't know it was a test.
Before the show, we practiced a lot, but Johan said, "Don't say that." No, Hans, you're talking about you started at 16 and just working. So how did you became master distiller?
So the typical way in Germany, you do your apprenticeship 3 years, you work and go to school. Then I worked 3 or 4 years in the company, and then I did my master in Berlin. And after that, it's a normal apprenticeship. You study distilling, and it's not only doing whiskey, it's doing fruit brandies, vodkas, the complete style of making spirits. So that was the way. Yeah.
But there was a master distiller before you started.
Yeah. It was Florian. He had the idea of our whiskey, but in 2008 he had a big illness, so he was off the company.
Okay. Yeah. So you're the only master distiller at this point in the company?
No, now we have another one. He comes from the brewery. Perhaps he's brewmaster. Perhaps you know Augustina, the beer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he's from that side. But it's very similar by making whiskey, so it's no problem. For fruit brandies, it would be difficult, but the mashing process, the fermentation is the same. So it's very easy to handle for a brewmaster to become a whiskey distiller.
Okay, so we only have to learn about brewing and we can distill as well. Okay, good to know.
Not too far away. Yeah, not
it's
too
that
far.
Easy. Let's buy a cask. Johan brings one from Portugal, and let's do it. Johan, are you up to it?
Okay, I agree.
Let's call it Slyrs 2. No, we're at the end of the show, you guys. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers what we didn't talk about before?
I think we covered more or less everything. Yeah.
Okay. Johan, is there anything you want to say to the viewers about Slyrs or something else?
Yeah, sure. Start to discover it.
Yeah. Short and simple.
That's the easy one. Benny saying thank you guys. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks, Benny. Yeah.
He's a big fan. I'm hoping to try your whiskeys very soon. I'm looking at Johan at this point. Hi, Johan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll do, and I will order a lot of Slyrs whiskey.
And I think we will be there the next time, if it's possible after COVID. We will visit Belgium also.
If COVID stays the same, let's do an online tasting.
Yeah.
Johan is pretty good in tasting as well, so he can join you guys. No, thank you very much. I will see you later on in the back, and let's talk a bit more. To the viewers, I only have to say this part. Volgende maandag is het Ronald Zwartepoort, de uitgever van Whisky Passion. Dus iemand die al heel lang bekend is in de whisky scene. De volgende datums liggen ook vast en ik ben een beetje achtergebleven met inplannen. Dus Paul Klok komt nog van Armerik, Ken McDougall van Drammer. En de volgende datums moet ik gewoon nog inplannen. Het is er een beetje niet van gekomen, het is een beetje druk geweest. Ik zie hier nog wat commentaren voorbij komen, die gaan we even toch nog doen. Thanks, hopefully meet you soon at a festival so I can try your Slyrs whiskey. I have not yet had the pleasure. Same thing here.
Yeah.
Thanks, very scientific and culinary program. I think you have a fan. So, Nick, thank you for joining us and saying yes to my question. Johan, thank you for hooking me up with these guys. And of course, Hans, very big thanks for joining us as well. I know it's not that easy to have a master distillery with us, so it's very nice to talk about whiskey with someone who's making it firsthand. So, and I really hope to meet you guys very soon in person, of course. And in the meantime, I can only say thank you, and I will talk to you in the back. So I will say I will do the opposite at the beginning. So Johan, goodbye. Nick, you up to it? Are you up to it? You want to say something? Last words to the viewers?
Last words. Yeah, I hope we could bring some of our of our whiskey a bit closer to you, at least the online way, and hopefully we will have a chance to present it to you live sometime at some festival, at some tasting, and I hope you will like it. Thanks for joining, and see you soon.
Okay, there you go. Hans, just the two of us. Let's start a conversation and let them wait for an hour or two. Campus is mentioning, thanks for doing such a great job at Slyrs. The 51 and the Mountain are exceptional. So you have two fans already. So I'm pretty sure I will like them as well. I see in the back, Nick and Johan are drinking some whiskey. So same question for you. Do you want to say anything else to the viewers?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Gunther. It was a pleasure to me. And to the viewers, stay safe, stay healthy, and drink some Bavarian whiskey.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, see you soon. Thanks, Hans.
Bye.